Welcome, the Burtons. Now, I can remember both of you joining, but I can't remember if you joined at the same time.
No.
No, who joined first?
Me. I started
Helen
in
Williams,
January.
Weren't you in those days, Helen?
Yeah, 81 or 82. And Mike started in the September of the same year.
All right. So it's the same year, basically, but not the same.
I replaced somebody called Mr. Bourne. Clive Bourne, who the students told me every lesson he was much better than me. And, you know, when you're a naive young teacher, you know, you fall for it. And I hated the man. Never met him.
Now, of course, you were on opposite sides of the divide, weren't you? I mean, you were both linguists, but Helen, you taught English.
Yeah.
And Mike taught French.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And I taught PE as well at times. Yeah, no, I was timetabled for it. Yeah, with Jenny Brooksbank. We did some sixth form, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I was in the Dennis Beasley department.
I remember, yes.
Yes.
And then you both fell in love, got married, and had hundreds of children.
That's right.
Most of that, yeah.
So fond remembrances. Do you remember your first impressions or your last impressions, maybe?
Well,
did you walk out the door, throw your satchel and cap away, and move on to greater glories, or?
I'll never be that arrogant, but it was good to move on after 8 years for me.
Except when you moved on to, it was quite hard.
Yeah, I moved away to Northamptonshire, Corby.
Oh, right. Oh, right.
And we tried.
Corby's got a bit of a reputation.
Yeah, it's like the Glasgow of.
Yeah, it's like the baubles of the South, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And there was a daily bus service up to Glasgow. Mind you, it was an interesting school because the kids were as rough as hell, but I tell you what, if they were told off, and I think that's the difference today.
If I go back to, I've got a couple of notes about my interview, because actually that was quite.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Well, I must have been interviewed December time because I started in January, and my father got me down to Newport Station in a snowstorm and said, "There's a hotel over there if the train doesn't go." Yeah. The train did take me to Droitwich, and I was booked in the St Andrews Hotel, but I came out in a complete blizzard, walked to the nearest. I didn't know where St Andrews Hotel was. Walked to the nearest bed and breakfast, knocked on the door, and the woman said to me, she said to me the next morning, she said, "Even if I hadn't had a bed free," she said, "I would put you up on the settee," because she thought that I'd sort of run away from home or I was destitute or whatever. And then when I went to the interview, the school was closed partly because of the snow, but also the heating had gone down. So it was absolutely freezing. And actually, when I first started teaching, I can remember the first day sitting there. I must have had triple free or double free. So because I got to break time and people said, "How's it gone?" I said, "I haven't started yet." So you can imagine sitting in that staff room waiting to start. And then the biggest issue for me was I was peripatetic. So, you know, what it's like I did that. Books were left in the wrong place. As a very young looking, naive young teacher, I made every mistake going in the books. Just about got through. Don't
worry, Helen, we all did.
Chalk and talk days. There was no computers. There was, you know, the registers. Remember Jill Heeks's register was beautifully done. And somebody, when she was off, somebody else would deliberately get a different color pen and do a scratchy register, and it would upset her for weeks. Yeah. And I lived with the head of department, Paul Gompertz. Yeah.
Paul Gompertz.
Yeah, because I got the job in December. Yeah. I didn't get any accommodation, so I lived with him for a little while before I got a place in the farmhouse, which is on the Westlands estate. So, do you want to say anything about your interview?
I can't remember anything about it. I pulled the wool over Derek Owen's eyes, I think. But, the only thing I remember is Dennis was sort of welcoming, but the person that I really remember welcoming me into the team was Ken Halfpenny.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Ken was a lovely chap, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He used to do the football team, didn't he? He ran.
Yes.
Is he still alive? Is he still alive?
I don't think so. I always remember him saying in the staff meeting once things hadn't been going well and we were getting another telling off for not doing our jobs well enough or whatever. And Ken just sort of piped up and said how much trouble he was having with one particular group. And I think there were a number of us who just thought, well, if Ken's having trouble, it's not just down to me, you know. And I would thank him, I remember saying, you know, you made me feel an awful lot better, Ken, by saying that, because I've been having trouble with that lot all year.
The academicals and philodemicals, do we talk about that?
Yes, we're allowed to talk about that. Philistines and academicals, indeed.
Yeah.
You were a Philistine, I was an academical.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the awards dinners in Heroes in Worcester.
Oh,
upstairs.
Yes, of course. Yes, we had one there, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, prior to it splitting into two teams, which might have been the season before you joined, Mike, we had just one team, which was called Scale 1, which of course would mean nothing to people in teaching today. Because in those days, when you started teaching, you were on what was called Scale 1.
Neil, do you remember my best goal tally? Bearing in mind that I was a goalkeeper and I'm talking about goals that I let in.
I do remember you conceding 10. I can remember you losing 3-10. Yeah.
19.
19 was it? Oh my God. I was doing you a favour with the 10 then.
I've got scars on my knees.
No, you used to have all this padding, didn't you? You used to buy cricketers padding on his thighs and things.
I still see some of the lads who, you know, around Droitwich, some of those who played for AdPac.
Did Alec mention Can't Pay, Won't Pay?
Oh, no.
It was a play that by a guy called Dario Fo that Alec and I were the main characters in.
No, he didn't mention it. I don't think he mentioned it.
So it was Vicky Walsh-Atkins, Enda O'Brien, Mike, Alex, and then a teacher, I can't remember his name, he had a beard.
Was it Phil Ryder?
Yeah, Phil Ryder, that's right. So my job was props, and I was, you know, with the script to remind them of their cues, and Phil Ryder kept forgetting to go on at the right time. Yes. And it was all very funny. It was really good. And I had to get overalls, but the garage, because they worked in a garage, but the garage where I tried to get some overalls, they knew that the play was a criticism of.
I was very social.
Of
Labour.
All right.
Socialist.
And they wouldn't give me their overalls. Yeah, but so that was really good. But then we had the pantomimes, and I was Snow White in one of them.
You were indeed in Snow White, I think.
In Snow White, I was Snow White, and I can remember singing in Welsh with some others, YMCA for something. I'm not sure what that was. Yeah.
Yes, no, that's right. We had the Welsh members of staff singing YMCA in Welsh.
Yeah.
That was really quite unkind of me and Robert to do that, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, especially as none of us could speak Welsh, I don't think. Oh, perhaps one person could speak Welsh.
Tony would have been able to.
Yeah, we also did Midsummer Night's Dream, which was an outdoor production.
Yeah. I think
Mike and I were the King and Queen. Yes. And Mike could not ever remember his lines.
Had to be prompted every other line.
We had 3 lines each.
No, we had some fairly big speeches, but I just didn't put the time in to learn it, and it was difficult. But,
there must have been some.
I mean, that was Richard Finch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah, we did lots of singing with. Yeah. Remember the barber? I wasn't in it, but remember the barbershop harmony group with Dick Heel and Jill from P. They were very good.
Yes, they were. Richard's still singing now, and Rose Carter still organises and leads her church choir in Perth.
Oh.
So, with tremendous gusto, judging by the interview she gave us. She is still a very vibrant lady, I must say.
Yeah.
My memory, Neil, is that Rose is responsible for getting Helen and I together.
Oh, really? Go on, then.
Only because she oversaw accommodation for new staff coming in to the school, and Helen was stuck for, she needed somewhere, and I needed somewhere pretty quick when I arrived. So yeah, we were put together in a flat above the Offie in St Peter's Road.
Oh, yeah.
Which is now a house.
Yeah.
But if you remember, in fact, people used to come round to our flat when we had the strikes, the work to rule, lunchtime.
Yeah, that's right. And we used to, the crisps that were under the flipping cushions, we used to have to vacuum. I've never vacuumed so much. Yes, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
And also we had, this is not school, but we had the vacuum, the washing machine, obviously on the first floor where we lived.
The floorboards. The
floorboards. Never realised or thought that of the noise it was making in the off license underneath, and it was going off. But yeah.
Well, I remember with some fondness Giselle, who obviously died of cancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to Giselle's funeral. I managed to make that. I met her out of the blue coming back from a Wolves game once, and I just heard this voice. You know how Giselle had the ultimate French accent, didn't she, when speaking English? And here is a seat. And I thought, where am I? What's going on? You know,
I'm in Paris.
I sat there and she spoke the whole way, and I was quite happy because A, it kept me awake, but B, I didn't have to speak. I was just there in this alcoholic haze, reflecting on the wind. Well, Giselle talked the whole way from Birmingham New Street to Droitwich without stopping, as I recall. But she was a lovely lady, Giselle. It was very sad when she died. I must say, but her two girls at the funeral just looked like Giselle had looked on that very first day. Because Liz and I met her on Droitwich Station after she'd been for the interview at the high school. So, and I really thought she was having us on with the way she spoke English.
Yeah. Well, just before I left, Neil, there were a couple of changes of heads of department in languages. There was John Connor.
Yes.
And then you had the formidable Ruta Rushnieks.
Yes.
She came up from Bristol, didn't she?
Yeah, to sort the place out.
She drove up from Bristol every day.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm not aware of anybody who's in touch.
Can I share? There's another memory I've got. Do you remember a fire that we had at school in the bushes by the tennis courts?
Paul Harrison remembers it very vividly.
Well, the reason why I remember it was that, apart from the fact that Jabba was head of maths in that block at the time, if you remember, but those tennis courts were the muster point. The fire was in the bushes behind the mobiles.
And we all assembled in front of them to watch them burn. Yes.
Yeah.
One of the fires was under what was the sort of block for SEN students, and they had seasoned wood there from a tree they chopped down, and that was I don't know what the time is, but for me, obviously, with Paul Harrison, all the trips that I ran with Paul Harrison, all the ski trips.
Yes.
With we used a company called Acorn, which is up Hagley Way, which I think we were one of the first schools, in the early days. And we used to take an interesting group of students to Doghouse Farm, which was on the south coast by Lyme Regis and all around there. And we, and then we went to France, but lots and lots of ski holidays. But I'm probably not sure I'd be allowed now, but one ski holiday was at Easter. So I was about 4 months pregnant. Then when we went to the Doghouse Farm, I can remember saying on the trip, 10 weeks to the baby being born. So I would have been, 7 months pregnant then? Mm-hmm. So I was having to have lie downs to keep me awake. But health and safety wouldn't let me do it now. And actually, on that holiday, my mother came with me. And, no, not that holiday, because the child was born. The next year, my mother came with Hugh, who would have been coming up to a year old. And, they stayed on the campsite and they had lovely days out and would eat in the marquee with us. And Richard Druitt used to do the phantom flan flinger. So somehow he would come into the marquee with a flan, a squirty, and managed to get it over some child and disappear. And you could never pick, it was obviously, we knew it was him, but the students could never quite pin it on him. And that was great fun.
Well, that's been absolutely wonderful. That time's gone so quickly. I can't believe it. But,
has that been helpful?
Absolutely. This is going. Graham will edit out anything that he thinks is inappropriate, and then Kevin will make it look as though it's like it'll look like something from
Kevin's
BBC News. But it's been absolutely lovely to see you both. You're looking both so young.
Thank you.
It's so disturbing, but there we go.
Yeah.
So thanks ever so much.
Okay.
Well, stay safe, stay sane. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.